Welcome to the Physical Therapy Private Practice Secrets of the Top 10% podcast with your host, Brian Gallagher, PT. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
So hey everybody, welcome back to Physical Therapy Private Practice Secrets of the Top 10%. My name is Brian Gallagher, I'm your host, and I am so looking forward to diving into a little bit more of the particulars on the income squeeze. I had tremendous feedback from all of you, and it was really nice to see how excited and enthusiastic you were about that material. And even the healthcare system, I'm getting emails coming in on that as well, and the study that I have done there. So here I am still in my Airbnb on my 3-week retreat and deep entrenched in study. And today, this morning actually, it's evening now for me, I don't even know what time it is. I've just been writing. But this morning I was studying economics, and particularly inflation. And I was looking at stagflation, inflation, shrinkflation. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That's where grocery stores and products are being sold at the same price but smaller quantities, and they're just sneaking that in there. I don't know if you've noticed that in the grocery store, but that is actually happening. You're getting smaller portions for the same damn price. I swear they think we're stupid. But, we need to be empowered, and being empowered is being educated, and then following up with your full understanding of that education so that you have mass duplication of it and you can replicate that with those around you. It's not good enough just for you to know something, but it's most important and most effective for you to actually be able to teach it to someone else. And then, of course, your application of it, because once you have knowledge of it, full understanding and replication, duplication of it, then you can apply it, and it is then defined as skill development because you're demonstrating that skill. I have always felt that my main obligation is to get as knowledgeable, easy for me to say, as knowledgeable as possible on every particular topic in the scope of physical therapy to the degree that I can duplicate it, understand it, replicate it, and skill develop it not only in myself, but in everyone else around me, and most importantly, you guys. Your ability to counteract whatever you are worried about right now that's coming at you on the news or in your head or from the people in your community. Do not go into agreement with this groupthink. Do not share in this idea that it's all going to be terrible. Look, hard times afford you the opportunity to step up your game because you're being pushed, you're being forced, you're not being afforded the luxury to continue what you've been doing because you're going to just keep getting what you've got. And nothing could be more relevant to that than what I heard when I was studying inflation today. And inflation, the experts talking about it as inflation is really not detrimental to the economy or to the working class people or to the businesses within the U.S. as long as it's consistent, as long as it's known and predictable and consistent. So if we know it's coming and it's been on a 3-year trend or a 5-year trend of 3% per year and every single year is going up at that percentage rate, then it allows businesses and corporations to adjust their pricing structure so that they can stay ahead of the rate of inflation for their products and services being dispensed. It's most detrimental when inflation radically goes up in an unpredictable manner because there's not enough time to there's not enough time to adjust to the inflationary cost, to the inflationary jump, and it's too much of a shock to the system economically for the public to afford, like eggs, right? Eggs are now, I went into the store, I saw $8 a dozen eggs. Thank goodness I've got 9 chickens at home that are giving me about 4 eggs a day. I'm loving them chicks. I got to get rid of some of my old birds and get some younger birds next month, and that'll be good. Get some more egg layers in there. I guess the older birds will be dumplings. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But chickens and eggs, you can see that in the store. You can see the prices going up. Well, I just dropped my pen, and I was like, and maybe you've already dropped your pen. We don't have that luxury. Great, Mr. Economist, great, Mr. PhD philosopher of economy. I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. I wouldn't raise a hand and voice an objection. If inflation does gradually go up in a consistent, stable way, it does allow for most of the U.S. market of products and services to adjust their pricing accordingly to absorb the inflation rate. I can't adjust nothing. I can't adjust squat. I can't go to Blue Cross and Blue Shield and say, hey, have you noticed that inflation went from 2.5% 2 years ago to now 8%? Yeah, you think you could help us out here a little bit, Blue Cross? You think United Healthcare, you could dump this crappy system of $58 a visit or whatever the cockamamie crap you're paying people in physical therapy for, when a massage therapist can make $85 a visit cash, and you're paying a doctor of physical therapy $58? I mean, it's not even in some places covering the cost of even doing the service. They don't care. They're not gonna give you any leeway on that. And I'm so tired of, these systems of outcome measures and show them that you're better than everybody else and you'll be able to leverage that. Look, I don't want to be overly stating the situation here. I should tone it down. Maybe some of you in some parts of the country have some compassionate health insurance representative that you've contacted, and you've made your case for contract negotiation, and you said, I'm using this system of tracking my outcomes and my performances, and they say, ooh, look at you. You look like the rock star in our state for physical therapy. You are well deserving of a $5 per visit increase or whatever. That has not been my experience. My experience is actually they don't give two hoots about where you are. You are too small of a provider for them to be concerned with. They are much more interested in throwing more money at bigger institutions. So economics was my study this morning. Inflation and this justification of we could all just adjust and be kumbaya and we'll stay ahead of the curve. That has not been my reality. So then I'm like, well, what am I going to tell people? What am I going to say? So I started spending the rest of the afternoon really, truly studying it and really looking at, I want to do a different kind of podcast. I said to myself, I'm going to put out there I'm going to pick 4 or 5 bullet points of what we can do to help lessen the pain of this income squeeze. And I'm actually going to cite, for those of you, because I know I recently my staff was informing me that we have so many Meg Academy listeners to our podcast, and I don't often think of that. I always think of everybody listening has never gone to Meg's website and seen all the services we do in billing and credentialing, virtual front desk and coaching. And I'm always kind of in the mindset when I'm sitting here in front of the mic thinking that I'm talking to, a staff therapist who's looking to start their own practice, or a clinical director starting to, get itchy and want to do their own thing, or somebody who's just opened their practice and is looking to, scale it and get the numbers up to where they always wanted it, or someone who's been in practice for 10 years, 15 years, and they're like, you know what, I'm running into new problems, new hurdles, new challenges, and I need new fresh ideas on how to get around it. And I'll tell you what, the secret here in the new fresh ideas, I can teach you anything, but if I can assist you in training your staff so that we're literally using our learning management system to do the heavy lifting for you, well, now you got more people speaking your language, you got more people on board participating and engaging in your company culture. You're not trying to change things in your practice from the top down and convince people. I'm doing it for you. I'm providing them with the materials. I'm providing them with the experience, knowledge, and the track record, a proven track record of success. I mean, we've never had a startup fail. Anybody wants to start up a private practice, you could pretty much bank on the fact that we're going to make you successful, and most likely within the first 6 months. So as I spent the rest of the afternoon just kind of digging into this, I came up with the 5 most major challenges that I believe we are all confronted with right now. First one is obviously the income squeeze. Reimbursements going down, costs are going up. Number 2, clinical hiring, retention, and motivation. Clinicians, hiring the right clinicians. retaining those clinicians long term, and enhancing and expanding their motivation. Their motivation for what? Their motivation for practicing in the company culture that you've set forth for your practice. This is your practice. This is your sandbox. They don't throw sand. They don't run with scissors. They don't put tacks on people's chairs. But yet, staff come in and they tend to push on these owners and, oh, I can't do that, or I need, this, or I need that. And it just gets to be like unrealistic. It's like, well, whose show is this anyways? Like, what do you mean you won't do that? You're a trained therapist. That's what I hired you for. What do you mean you're not going to work after 5 p.m.? What did you think this was? A GM factory job? I mean, of course you're going to work after 5 p.m. You're here for when the patients need to be here. Anyways, I'm digressing. So motivation to your company culture, whatever philosophy you have and however you want to create that culture. Number 3, non-clinical hiring, comprehension, consistency, accuracy, and drama. See, hiring the best non-clinician comes with a whole different bag of tricks. It's a whole different suitcase packed with a whole bunch of different clothes and different items in that suitcase than your clinician. Thinking that you just have a hiring and staffing situation and you're going after it the same way, you got entirely different public. Even within your clinicians, when you're hiring them, you got the new grads 0 to 3 years out. You got the 4 to 9 year out advancing therapists. You got the veteran therapists. Each one of those categories has a specifically, intrinsically different set of needs and wants. And that, again, for those of you listening who are in private practice already, that is your job to differentiate between what someone needs versus what someone wants. I was so proud of my young daughter, my little girl Kayla, and I heard her repeat back to her mother something that we had talked about on our Alaska trip. We took an Alaska trip a couple weeks ago, met up with a friend, Bob Brown up there in Alaska, and he showed us a really good time on 4-wheelers up to the glaciers and stuff. And we were sitting having dinner one night, and Kayla was talking about, putting a trick set of lights on her Jeep. She's got this really cool kick button Jeep. I love it. It's orange and black and it's pretty cool. So, and she's like, yeah, but it's $200, and I don't really need it. And I said, Kayla, there's one thing I want to teach you in this lifetime, in this world, as you go through it. There is a difference between needs and wants. And I don't want you ever to feel guilty because you want to enjoy and embrace one of your wants. Not everything in life that you go after, that you spend money on, time on, energy on, effort in, has to check the box of having to be a need. It's a need. You need food, shelter, companionship, water, fire, stuff like this, right? You need income stability. I mean, let's get into real times now, right? You need income stability. You need time flexibility so that you have some work-life balance. Yes, I get that. But there are some things that you just need wants on. And so she was talking to her mother and about something, and I bought Lisa, I remember what it was. I bought Lisa iPhone 14 Plus for Valentine's Day, and I was at home because I'm here studying, so Kayla was there, gave her the present, she opened it up, and the first thing she said, I don't need this. She's got like an iPhone 4, or no, it's really like a 12 or something, but she's got this old iPhone, she got to turn it on and off, and the sound doesn't, and Kayla repeated back to her, well, Mom, not everything you get has to be a need. Dad taught me that it's okay to feel good about, enjoying and obtaining some of your wants from time to time. And I was like, go girl, that's right. You got that right. So anyways, we were on number 3, the non-clinical hiring, compensation, comprehension, consistency, accuracy, and drama. These are the key elements that you're going to need to conquer successfully if you're going to have no problem in the future attracting and retaining good non-clinical staff. Number 4, marketing, branding, and sales. I want to emphasize sales. Physical therapy is sales. It is selling the patient on the plan of care. It is selling your clinician on how to elevate their game. It is selling your staff on the company culture that you embrace. There is selling going on all over the place in your practice. Marketing, branding, and sales. And problem area number 5, business intelligence. I find this is probably one of the main reasons why people call us. People can just go on our website and book their own practice assessment with Laura, Nicole, or myself, and we will assess your practice. We will talk to you for an hour or more. I've been known to go 2 hours, and fully understand and comprehend where you are and where you want to go, what's in your way, what's bothering you, and we will work with you in a customized fashion to develop the plan of care with business intelligence to institute within your business model to get you to where you want to go so you can live the life of a practice owner that you've always envisioned for yourself. It takes effort, it takes money, and it takes time. I am not kidding you. I'm not trying to say any of this is for free or any of this is going to be lickety-split, but my experience has been over the last 20 years that when I can get my hands on somebody and I can get them training, get them educated, and get them rolling it down and changing their environment and putting in structure, putting in that 5-division structure, once you got the environment right and the structure set, handling the personnel with the systems operation goes quickly. It really goes quickly. And I'm talking totally rehabbing and restructuring your business within 6 to 12 months. Within 6 to 12 months, you could literally be living the life that you want. This is, I was going to say this isn't that hard. I'm not going to say this isn't. I'm going to say this has been our track record. This has been our experience. For those of you who are committed, beating your fist on the table and demanding change, you can have change in any one of these 5 areas we just talked about. The income squeeze, clinician hiring, non-clinician hiring, marketing, branding, and sales, business intelligence, billing, compliance. And what I mean by compliance, I mean both admin and clinical compliance. So number 5's line item, I didn't finish the statement. It's business intelligence, billing, and compliance. And under compliance, I wrote to myself, administrative compliance and clinical compliance. So let's tackle some of these actions here in this week's podcast. And for those of you that are med clients, I was talking earlier, I've been informed that you guys love listening to this podcast. I am literally going to do something different. I am going to cite the course, the program course and chapter where you're going to find the materials and all of the role play training and all of the lecture content as well as the handouts. I mean, everything, quizzes and everything that's going to help you with each one of these points. So this is what we're going to handle. We're going to touch on, we're not going to dive deep and entrenched in, although you Meg Academy people, you will have that all at your fingertips within the learning management system, which you have access to. Contracts and negotiations. We're going to take contracts and negotiations. That's number 1. Number 2, reimbursement types. We're going to touch on that in the rest of this podcast. And we're going to also teach you or discuss thoughts and ideas of how you can potentially select, well, not potentially, how you actually can select the right working schedule for your practice, depending on where you are in the country, and the components of how to run a successful hybrid strategy. That has really caught on since I started talking about that 6 years ago at PPS and then CSM and then different state conferences. The hybrid model, the hybrid operating, I want to call it something different. I want to call it the hybrid operating strategy, has really helped a ton of people, and we're going to talk about that as well. So let's get started. Your reality on the income squeeze and how we can go about making an impact on that is going to be greatly determined by where you are in the country. So let me share some shocking numbers with you guys. I have been working with practice owners, and here's some real numbers, real factual numbers, not making this up. I had a practice owner tell me once that he was getting from one of his insurance carriers $355 per visit for physical therapy. Now, pick yourself up off the floor. That's not every carrier in his area, but he had one carrier paying him $355 a visit. His other carriers were paying in the 200s, and his low-ball carriers were paying him 140. 140 was it? Like 141 if I remember correctly. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I have had other practice owners share with me that their lowest paying carrier is $17 a visit. Meanwhile, the average reimbursement in the United States is about $83 a visit. Why do I share that with you? Because I'm making my point. There isn't a one-size-fits-all. There isn't a magic slipper you're going to put your foot in and you're going to have the perfect outcome for you, and it's going to fit for everybody in every state in the whole entire United States. It's not. You have to have some understanding, which is why I'm going to go into these components so that you can select the absolute best schedule for you. I've narrowed it down to 2 that mathematically and operationally seem to meet and check all the boxes. So I hope you'll take a really good serious look at these 2. I think this would be a really good starting point. But depending on where you are in the country, you may have to tweak it a bit. So the overwhelming majority of owners are telling me that one of the things they're trying to do to fight back on this income squeeze is that they're trying to renegotiate their insurance contracts. I was just helping somebody in the Midwest a couple weeks ago, and she is on her 3rd submittal to try and get something done. And she literally told me what I hear so many times. They don't care about KPIs. They don't care about the provider's training level. They don't care about your patient outcomes. They don't care about your length of stays. They don't care about your patient satisfaction surveys. It does not matter. I know a lot of people pay for some fancy software to tabulate their results and their outcome measures, and the software companies try to tell you that you're going to put these outcome measures in front of these carriers and they're all going to respond to you. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to say that's not for everybody 100%, but the majority of people that I'm talking to and I see and what I've experienced, they don't care. They just don't care. You know what they do care about? You know what you can get if you're trying to get into a contract and it's a closed panel and you can't get in, or you're trying to possibly negotiate a high rate? They do care if you're providing a specialized service that's not covered in your zone. I have been very successful getting people into different networks by me saying to them, hey, just get pediatrics going up and running. Is there a pediatric clinic within 5 miles of your office? No, there isn't. There's not one within 15 miles or 20 miles. The insurance company can't deny you. They have to let you in because they're taking premiums from people, providing a policy book saying, hey, you get this benefit, pediatric care, but yet they don't have a pediatric provider. They can't send you to a pediatric provider. So absolutely use specialized services. What has helped in some negotiations is get the state chapter involved. Reach out to the APTA. That's part of why I want all of you to be PPS members. You have to be APTA members first and then select the specialty of PPS and then invest and support the PAC. They will help you. They will give you different tools and different templates, and they will give you particular data that you might be able to use that might make a difference with these insurance carriers. And last but not least, the insurance commissioner in your state. Oftentimes, I've had people and I say, just call the insurance commissioner and tell them what you're being told. Tell them you haven't had a cost of living adjustment in 10 or 15 years from this particular carrier. That was actually the situation with the other owner I was talking about 2 weeks ago. And it might matter. I'm not saying it's going to. So please listen to my words carefully. I'm saying for the most part, these insurance carriers are not going to adjust their rates. They don't care about the things that so many people think that they would and that they should. But that's not all. And the things that I think might help, letters from doctors, letters from patients, providing specialized non-covered services in your area, getting your APTA organization involved and getting the insurance commissioner involved might help. I can't guarantee that it won't. Now, for those of you who are watching, I'm thinking I'm on YouTube. For those of you who are listening, go to your Startup Accelerator program, Course 4, Chapter 1, and you will see a breakdown of these strategies in greater detail with greater descriptions and more tools than what I've just gone to in the podcast. I can't hit everything here in a podcast. You can also go to your program of Billing and Collections, Course 3, Chapter 5, and you're going to see a lot more data on negotiating contracts, getting contractual rates, getting in contracts, things like that. That is for you all. I know you guys already know this, but I just thought I'd do something a little different and send all you Meg Academy people right to the source so you can get more of the content. I've got handouts there, and I got templates that you can use as well. So let's move on to running the right schedule. Running the right schedule matters a lot. Running the right schedule will increase your efficiency, and it will also increase your viability overall. The best schedules, when you choose the best schedule, here are the 5 things you will know that you've accomplished when you know you've selected the best schedule. It will accomplish increased clinical efficiency, increased therapist productivity. Now, what is therapist productivity? It's the volume of care given per session. That's productivity. How productive are you per session? How productive are you per day? Well, what volume of care did you give today? See, physical therapists don't bill. They treat the patient, they write the note, and they code what they did. The code represents the volume of care you provided. Patient satisfaction, number 3. Patient outcomes, number 4. And practice viability, number 5. So when you've selected the absolute ideal schedule for your practice, it will have checked the boxes of increasing clinical efficiency, increasing therapist productivity, enhancing patient satisfaction, increasing patient outcomes, and elevating your practice's viability. Now, for you guys who are Meg Academy clients, go to your clinician certification program. Your clinician certification, not one of your executive master curriculum programs, but the ones that we've designed specifically for your staff to learn from, where I'm literally talking right to your clinician, right to your staff therapist. That is going to be found in Clinician Certification Program, Course 5, Chapter 6. Dive into that, and you're going to learn more about this next part that I'm going to talk about. And that is taking time out to educate your staff and yourself on the insurance carrier's reimbursement policies, as well as proper coding. So what are the 4 key types that you should really be educated on and knowledgeable about and be confident, like 100% confident. Like I have had this lecture so many times. I am 1,000% confident tackling these topics, but you need to be confident, which is why Meg Academy in my mind is so great. Back in the day when I was consulting, I would just come in, give you the materials, leave, and then you're left on your own and you get turnover and you got to train your staff and then you forget what was said and you don't know how to do it right or say it right. And all of a sudden it gets all blurred and misconstrued and doesn't really go anywhere. But with Meg Academy, you own this material, you have access to it, you can go through it 55 times if you want, and you can roll it out and use all the handouts, the 300 plus pieces of material we have there. So educating yourself and your staff on your insurance carrier policies and proper coding. Reimbursement policy number 1, be fully knowledgeable and educated on the AMA coding rule of every 8 minutes. Every 8 minutes of providing services allows you to a commercial carrier to select that CPT code. Medicare policies and coding. It's the 8 to 23 minute rule. Everybody should be familiar with that one. You should also have great familiarity with capitation. Do you have capitated contracts? You're paid one lump sum and you got to care for that patient start to finish. And fixed rate payers. People like United Healthcare that just pay you a flat rate, or Cigna often just pays a flat rate. Know the percentage of patients coming into your practice that are falling into these categories, because Medicare and the AMA commercial carriers are fee for service. More services, greater fees, more care obviously makes sense. You're providing more care, you get greater level of reimbursement. Capitation, you're locked. You're totally locked in, and you're going to have to really look at a running list of statistics to see what are you actually averaging per visit on your capitated contracts. Might not be worth it. Fixed rate payers are paying you one fixed rate for the time that you spend working with the patients. So that brings me to the 2 best schedules that I think would work to meet all of these 5 characteristics I listed to you above, and should be compatible with these 4 different types of reimbursement policies. They're not all reimbursement policies. 2 of them are reimbursement policies. The other 2 are insurance types. So the first schedule, I think, especially if you're in the Northwest, middle of the country, or you're somewhere where the average reimbursement for your patients per visit is higher than the national average, and by a lot. What I mean by a lot, but $15 or more, probably a minimum of $10 or more. So you're making in the 90s to 100s or more per visit. A 40-minute schedule if you're a manual therapy practice, you're doing peds. You're not having a company culture of using care extenders. You're not in the practice of doing unattended modalities, and your average reimbursement is, well above the national average. A 40-minute schedule tends to check all the boxes. So take a look at that. We've run the math on it. For those of you in Meg Academy, I am going back to studio with my team in March. We are shooting new programs and inputting new strategic materials, and you're going to see the math on the 40-minute schedule get loaded up in March, and it'll be rolled out to you in April. We've got a lot of exciting new information and material coming to you post-pandemically, because there is a whole new set of challenges moving forward, so stay tuned for that. Brand new content coming to you guys in the next couple months. The second greatest schedule to do is the one where the patients stay 55 to 65 minutes and they come in 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, every half hour, each patient staying 55 to 65 minutes. This is the best schedule if you have the right practice for it. It is for those of you that are full service practitioners, you need to educate, train, and teach your therapist and get them to fully duplicate and comprehend the ethicalness of doing this. The standard of practice that meets all the ethical standards, both for Medicare and commercial carriers, in running this type of schedule, because there is a little bit of back and forth and you're not doing group. I do not want you to see you fall into group. And people often ask me, Brian, how do you do that? Like, I don't understand the math on that. Well, you need 4 things to have been fully educated and mastered. You have to master the point of service documentation, so you need a very good EMR system. You have to be willing to bring your patients back 5 minutes early or keep them 5 minutes late. That's going to buy you time on the crossover. You should, and it would make it easier if you're using unattended modalities. There are particular modalities that are going to enhance your ability to be more clinically efficient. And the proper use of care extenders. I am not advising that you use a care extender like a tech to do treatments for you and you bill for it. That's not what I'm saying. But regardless of which schedule you pick, you should have picked a schedule, either one of those, and you should be getting the feedback based on surveys that the patients feel, based on report, that they have been treated in a high quality manner and they felt like they were always given the courtesy of direct one-on-one care. Even on that every half hour schedule, I always had my patients feeling like they were getting treated in a direct one-on-one care, in a direct one-on-one model. So let's leave schedules. That's kind of my overview of schedules. Again, a lot more, much greater detailed amount of information in Mag Academy's File Vault. So pull those lectures, pull that material, pull the written material down, especially if you're going to train your staff. I've literally written up like the talking points and the bullet points and the educational points that have been well vetted, well verified within the APTA's PPS conferences. You've heard it on stage. It's been recorded. So it is solid stuff, solid, good stuff you can hang your hat on. Let's talk about the hybrid strategy. How do you run the most successful hybrid strategic operating practice? You do it by achieving several components. There's several components that you have to put in place to make this work. Now, for those of you who are new and you're like, what is a hybrid model? What are you talking about? What I'm talking about is making sure that, what I'm talking about is calculating at the end of the year that 20% of your annual income came in from cash. You should really be emphasizing your sources of cash revenue. Now, one of the biggest ways to get a larger percentage of cash income into your practice is to create an aftercare program. I'm not a big fan of wellness programs. Wellness means nothing to anybody anymore. Everyone's thrown wellness everywhere. It's on every sign and every street corner. It's an aftercare program. In your aftercare program, you should be able to offer personal fitness training sessions, one-on-one, gym-like memberships potentially. These are just options, everybody. I'm not dictating to you what to do. Like, what's your thoughts? What are your ideas? These are my ideas. These are the ones that I've seen working strategically in people's offices that have really proven successful. So I'm just going to give you the list. Gym-like membership, workplace assessments. A lot of places will pay you cash for coming in and assessing the work environment. Think about going to people's homes. Think about how many people are working from home now and coming in and assessing their home environment. I am telling you, all these people that, as of the pandemic, are working from home on Zoom, the desks, the chairs, the ergonomics, the shoulder pain, the carpal tunnel, the thoracic pain. Get in there, man. Talk to your patients and ask if they have family members working from home, if they'd be interested in a home assessment. In-home therapy equipment, in-home exercise equipment, a huge movement now for people to use tonal and, a therapy ball, mats, bands, all kinds of stuff from home. Provide that. Provide a workout session to get them fully equipped and compliant with their home exercise programs using their own equipment. You can do a home visit. There's nothing wrong with that. Using the Newbie eSTEM. And all the other high-tech like HRV and all the stuff that Jason Waz knows about for setting you up with a high-tech clinic Yeah, you go to New PT Tech, NEU PT Tech. Look up Jason Waz, DPT. He's in Oldsmar, Tampa area, Florida. He has the best designed clinics. I've worked with him. We've worked together on it. I love it. I even use his pictures for how you should design your clinic. I have a whole list of what I do. He has a whole list of what he does with it. I really like his stuff. So contact him. And take advantage of the fact that you can actually charge cash for the Newbie eStem. Newbie eStem is a neuromuscular re-ed charge. It's not the 97114. It is the 97112. And it is just go to his website because I don't want to misrepresent it. It is a therapeutic electrical stimulation protocol with exercise. That's the best way for me to describe it. But man, I study it and read it and study it, and I learn something new every time I read about what it's doing. There's even been some long COVID studies done on it. It's being used in professional sports and hospital centers all across America. Put in dry needling, put in RTM. Put these things in that'll increase your cash-based business. So that's my target for you for just getting started on how to successfully run a hybrid strategic, practice, operating practice. The second bullet point I would advise you on to pull that off is clinician coaching. You have to teach your clinicians time management. Coach them on how to customize their documentation, templates within your EMR system. No therapist should walk out later than an hour after they've seen their last patient. Accurate coding, I just talked about that. They need to understand that you're coding in accordance to the intention that you're providing in therapy, not what you're doing. I could use a TheraBand exercise, and if my intention is to build deltoid strength, then it's 97112. I'm sorry, 97110, it's TheraX. If the intention is to do shoulder stabilization, neuromuscular coordination, it could be 97112. If it's for stability and functional returning a gallon of milk in and out of the fridge, it could be 97530 because it's ADL training. So my point here is you could do one particular exercise, but it could apply to different codes based on your intention. So educate people, educate your therapist on how to properly use the codes the right way. The next thing that I think is super important is that there is value in educating your patients. Home exercise program, ADLs, lifestyle training, and you can actually charge a CPT code for that. For those of you who are looking for greater explanation of that and greater detail and even examples, go to your compliance program, especially for those of you who bought the Platinum package. In your compliance program, Daniel Hirsch and I have put this together in Course 6, Chapters 1 through 3. I mean, we did an extensive job on this because compliance and education and training is of paramount importance. Successful action number 3 for pulling off your hybrid strategy, pay for performance compensation model. Look, your end game is to exchange more with fewer people, but the right people. Your pay for performance model is going to enable you to provide more care with less overhead, provide better care to more people. And if you have the right people who are motivated and excited to exchange an abundance with your practice, you are going to exchange an abundance better with them in a pay-for-performance compensation model. You all on Meg Academy can learn all about it. I give you the whole model. The software is built out. All you got to do is use the software template, put in the numbers. It works beautifully. We've got a wickedly successful track record with this. We've never had anybody go to it and complain about needing to go back to something else. You will find that in your Systems of Operation program, Course 4. It's an entire course. I teach you how to roll it out. I teach you how to train your staff on it. I teach you how to, educate your staff that you're moving from a salary and benefit model to a pay-for-performance model, and you won't have a mass exodus or a walkout because you're going to do it right, and it's all there in Course 4. Last but not least, make therapy a team sport. Set metrics and keep score, and it will increase engagement. As a practice owner, I won Practice of the Year in 2011 because we had the spirit of play in our practice. And that took effort. That took creativity and vision and just sticking to it, like keeping it in, holding it in. Consistency was everything. And what I got out of that, and what I've put in hundreds of offices now across the nation, is this idea of a team approach. red team, blue team, green team, run stats, have parties, have gifts, do celebration, who's in first, who's in second, who's in third. And the team is made up of your clinicians, your DPT1, DPT2, PTA, and tech. That's a full team. You guys may have a small office or maybe you're just opening up, but think about building those teams from the ground up. When you have that, you will have a fun practice, a company culture that you're proud of. You'll have great staff retention because life is a game. Nobody wants to go to work feeling like they're at work. You have to make it a game. So once again, you Meg Academy client people, this is such a big thing. You can see how much I'm passionate about it and how much is a part of me and my DNA. You will find me talking about how to create this ideal company culture, this fun setting, this spirit of play, this team approach. You will find it in great detail in program, company structure, in your CEO and executive training program. It's listed and detailed out in your personnel management program. Obviously, it's about personnel and enhancing their abilities. And last but not least, the statistics, the software on it, the way to track it, measure them, how to play games with it is in the systems of operation program. So you'll find all the details, role play training, educational training, and handouts in those programs I just listed for you. So that's it for this week's podcast, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it went a little longer than I had hoped. It was a lot of material I wanted to cover there with you. And I just wanted to give you some real life, examples that owners around the country have come to the realization that without a learning management system to aid them in properly hiring their therapist, orienting them to the company, and then onboarding them to their position, and then having that advanced level of training that they can have the employee go through, multiple times so that they practice at the top of their license. Without it, what are you going to do? I mean, it's left up to you, right? And once you have this material, you get all the upgrades for free. You get all the coaching for free, 15, 20-minute coaching calls with me or Zoom calls with me. I will help you. I will customize your delivery systems. I will customize your application. You will be in our Slack channel. You'll hear from other PTs and how they're doing this and how they're doing that. PTs helping PTs. We've created a whole environment of PTs helping PTs in our Slack channels. They're like rooms where you can go and talk about any particular topic, depending on which room you go in, and you will get a group discussion. So that's it, everybody. I really, really do love and care for you very, very much. I really do appreciate and honor and respect your time here listening to me each and every week. Next week, I am going to be breaking out into the new practice model. I just had to hold back. I wanted to give you a very good detailed breakdown of the new practice model. I'll leave you with this. For the last 50 years, we've been practicing in what's called the fee-for-service model, which you're going to learn about next week. And for you guys at Meg Academy, you're going to get a whole bunch more material on it when I get back to studio. I'm going to try to move every single person who I possibly can off of that model into the professional patient care model. That is the model of the future, the professional patient care model, and I will be talking about that in greater detail next week. So stay tuned. Take care, everybody. Start each and every day expecting to do well.
This has been another episode of Physical Therapy Private Practice, Secrets of the Top 10%. If you want help implementing the successful actions of the top 10%, visit our website at www.megbusiness.com to schedule a free practice assessment. Thanks for listening. And as Brian always says, expect to do well. Like what you hear? Be sure to rate and subscribe to the show. See you next week.